Canada was stolen. This claim appears in land acknowledgements, classrooms, political speeches, and in activist campaigns. According to this view, Canada itself is illegitimate. It's a country created through theft. Tribal societies in Europe, the Americas, and everywhere else evolved through multiple influences, sometimes conquest, sometimes trade, and also conscious political and economic developments, especially in the case of Canada. But let's start at the beginning with basic facts about human evolution. The notion that some people's ancestors in the Americas were here since time immemorial is evolutionarily and historically false. Everyone's ancestors came from Africa. There, Homo sapiens evolved as a distinct species over 300,000 years ago. In the Americas, archaeological evidence shows that the ancestors of the people today we call indigenous first migrated here about 20,000 years ago. And the Inuit migrated from Siberia as late as 1,000 years ago. That's why it's more accurate to call such arrivals the first settlers, not indigenous. Another driver of claims of stolen land is the notion that pre-contact, First Nations were unlike all other human beings in history, peaceful with each other, and at one with the environment. Except that the first settlers were like the rest of us. As they and their progeny moved across the continent over the centuries and millennia, they hunted, they traded, they fought wars, they formed alliances, and they displaced one another. At the time of the American Revolution, the Iroquois were waging war to create an empire in Ontario and the American Midwest. The Ojibwe and Cree, originally woodland peoples, blasted their way onto the prairies after they obtained guns from the Hudson's Bay Company. As late as 1870, the Cree and Blackfoot, both weakened by smallpox, fought a lethal battle near the site of modern Lethbridge, which is still remembered in tribal lore. Some other facts. Pre-contact, native slavery was practiced on a large scale on the Pacific coast. Native slavery persisted in British Columbia even after that province joined Confederation, and even after the British outlawed it in 1834 in the Empire. And in other parts of the Americas pre-contact, human sacrifice took place. Such behavior was not unique to North America, but that's why it's a mistake to romanticize any culture, native or not. Many people's ancestors were engaged in practices we rightly condemn today, and that includes slavery. But in the case of pre- and post-Confederation Canada, it was the colonial British who ended slavery. That's the balance we need to remember. The British and Canadian founders made this part of the Americas better by ending Indigenous slavery. When the first peoples arrived 20,000 years ago, they didn't encounter a country governed by a single civilization with clearly defined national borders. Nor did later Europeans or Asians or Africans find a $2.5 trillion economy, Canada's economy today, and steal it. Instead, everyone built what we now know as Canada, from scratch, over millennia. The first arrivals were followed much later by French fur traders, Scottish explorers, Western farmers, Toronto financiers, Atlantic and Pacific fishermen, the Irish, European, African, and Asian workers, and entrepreneurs in the 19th and 20th centuries, and many others. It's also important to know this. Later arrivals also brought new political institutions, new economic systems, and new legal frameworks. Over time, those institutions developed into the constitutional order that became Canada. When we think of British North America, it includes the British concept of property rights and the rule of law. That's why a multitude of treaties were signed across Canada. Both the British and John A. Macdonald argued that treaties were preferable to conquest, as happened with others in history, including those south of the border and also those we now label indigenous in Canada. The Dominion government even provided funds to those First Nations not covered by treaties, in much of British Columbia, for example. This is also why such payments should count towards the paid column in the reconciliation ledger, with or without treaties. The slogan that Canada sits on stolen land ignores historical nuance and facts and the broader historical context in which the country developed. Canada developed through some conquest, but also political negotiation, the work and investment of all, and institutional evolution. Lastly, today, millions of Canadians have no ancestral connection to the first settlers who arrived 20,000 years ago, or the French or British or Europeans who came later. They arrived later and from every part of this planet. They came seeking opportunity, stability, and freedom. To describe them or anyone else as settlers, with others as indigenous, makes no evolutionary, historical, or political sense given how Canada evolved. Instead, the country we all share should aim at renewing individual rights, the rule of law, property rights, and our democracy. Our goal should be a free, prosperous, and peaceful country where all have the opportunity to flourish. That's where our history has led us. It's also our future, and it's worth renewing. To help Canada, share this video and find out more at AristotleFoundation.org.